Welcome to my channel Sci-Fi Love Story. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe. Commander Elias Ward did not remember the moment the ship died. 1 second, the bridge of the HSS Pathfinder had been full of voices, flashing consoles, and urgent reports. The next, there had been light too bright, too white, and then silence so complete it felt like the universe had stopped breathing. When his eyes opened again, he was floating. Not drifting gently, not in normal zero gravity. Floating in a ship that had gone completely still. The emergency lights were off. The hum of the engines was gone. Even the faint vibration of life support had disappeared. The Pathfinder, a vessel that had crossed half the explored galaxy, now felt like a cold, dead shell. Elias tried to breathe and coughed. The air tasted metallic and thin. His helmet visor was cracked. A thin spiderweb of fractures ran across the left side, and every breath made a faint whistling sound as oxygen leaked into the bridge. He reached up slowly, fingers shaking, and sealed the emergency patch over the crack. The leak slowed, but the warning light inside his suit kept blinking red. Oxygen low. He swallowed and looked around. The bridge was a graveyard of floating debris, data pads, straps, a coffee bulb drifting slowly in a perfect sphere of brown liquid. The main hollow display was dark, frozen on a distorted star map that looked like someone had smeared the galaxy with their thumb. Status, he croaked, though he already knew no one would answer. The crew had launched in escape pods when the anomaly hit. He had stayed behind to send the warning. That had been his job as commander. Make sure no one else followed them into whatever this was. He pushed himself toward the main console, grabbing handholds along the wall. Every movement felt slow and heavy, like he was moving through water instead of air. Outside the front viewport, space looked wrong. Stars stretched into thin lines like reflections in rippling water. Light bent at angles that made his eyes ache. Far in the distance, something darker than space itself shifted, not moving like an object, but like a shadow passing behind reality. Elias forced himself to look away. Pathfinder emergency beacon, he said, voice shaking. Broadcast loop, full power. To his surprise, the console flickered. A weak signal indicator blinked. Some systems were still alive. His recorded message began to play again, distorted but clear enough. Unidentified gravitational anomaly beyond Sector 14. Do not approach. I repeat, do not approach. This is not a natural phenomenon. Ships are advised to alter course immediately. The message repeated, over and over, a tiny human voice shouting into an endless ocean of stars. He leaned back against the console, breathing hard. Then the ship vibrated. Just once. A deep, low hum rolled through the hull, not mechanical, not like engines restarting. It felt alive, like standing near a giant speaker playing a note too low to hear, but strong enough to feel in your bones. Elias froze. The console lights flickered again, brighter this time. The distorted stars outside shifted, bending inward toward a single point somewhere beyond view. The Pathfinder moved. Not with engine thrust, not with gravity. It was being pulled. Gently, carefully. Like something had reached out and taken hold of a drifting piece of trash, and decided it was interesting. Elias stared out at the warped stars as darkness closed in from all sides. Then everything went white. He woke up on a floor that wasn't metal. It was warm. Soft. Almost like standing on smooth glass that had sunlight trapped inside it. Elias rolled onto his side, coughing. His helmet was gone. The air was cool and clean, with a faint sweet smell like rain on stone. He pushed himself up slowly. He stood inside a curved chamber made of transparent material. Beyond it was space, open space, but not empty. Gigantic structures floated in the darkness. They looked like enormous crystal reefs, glowing softly in blues, greens, and pale gold. Some were shaped like spirals, others like branching trees made of light. Energy flowed between them in thin beams like glowing rivers in vacuum. Stars shone behind them, but dimmer, as if these structures were drinking their light. Elias turned in a slow circle. "I'm dead," he whispered. "You are not." The voice did not come through his ears. It vibrated through his chest, through the floor, through the air itself. Elias spun around. At the edge of the chamber stood a figure. Tall, thin, nearly 3 meters high. Its body looked like woven threads of light wrapped in a faint, transparent shell. Inside that shell, energy pulsed like a slow heartbeat. Where a face might be, brighter strands gathered into shifting patterns. It did not walk. It hovered a few centimeters above the floor. Elias backed up until he hit the curved wall. "You rescued me," he said, more to himself than to it. "Yes." The being's light shifted as it spoke. The voice in his mind was calm, layered, almost musical. "We received your distress signal." Elias let out a shaky laugh. That thing barely had power. It was enough. He stared at the alien, mind racing through every first contact protocol he had ever learned. "Commander Elias Ward," he said hoarsely, placing a hand on his chest. "Human, from the planet Earth." A pause. "Then we know." That hit harder than anything else. "You know us. We have listened to your transmissions for many of your cycles. Your signals travel far. You are loud." Despite everything, Elias snorted. "Yeah, that sounds like us." More figures drifted into view beyond the chamber wall. Dozens of them, moving between the glowing structures outside. "What are you?" he asked quietly. The light within the being pulsed brighter. "We are called the Aerolith in your closest translation. We live in the energy of stars." Elias looked back at the glowing city in space. "You built all this." "We grew it." "Of course they did," he thought weakly. "Why save me?" he asked. A long silence followed. "Your message was not a call for help. It was a warning for others." Elias swallowed. "That was the idea. You remained on your vessel while others escaped. You risked termination to send information. That's kind of part of the job. To us, it is not logical." He gave a tired smile. "Humans aren't famous for being logical." The alien drifted closer to the chamber wall. The surface between them shimmered, then dissolved like mist. Cool air brushed Elias' face as the barrier vanished. The aerolith floated into the room. Up close, he could see countless tiny strands of light weaving through its body, like a living circuit. "You encountered the Devourer," it said. Elias stiffened. "That thing has a name. It has ended many star systems. It consumes energy. It hides between dimensions of space. When it feeds, stars grow dim." Images filled Elias' mind, not pictures, but feelings shaped into vision. Dark shapes coiling around suns, light draining away, worlds going cold. "We have fled from it for thousands of your years," the aerolith continued. "We survive by remaining unseen." Elias thought of the warped stars outside the Pathfinder, the shadow in the dark. "It's heading toward human space," he said. "Yes. And you're just running. It is the only way we have endured." Elias walked past the alien to the open edge of the chamber, staring at the glowing structures outside. "How long until it reaches our colonies?" "Less than one of your decades." 10 years. Nothing on a galactic scale. Everything to humanity. Elias closed his eyes. "Help me send another message," he said quietly. The aerolith's light flickered. Broadcasting at full strength may draw its attention here. He looked back at the alien. "If we don't warn them, billions die without even knowing why." A long silence filled the chamber. The distant structures pulsed softly, like a city breathing. "You would risk our destruction to protect your own kind?" it asked. Elias shook his head. "I'd risk it to give them a chance." The aerolith drifted closer, its inner light swirling faster now. "Your species is young, weak. Your technology is crude." "Yeah," Elias said, "we know. Yet you choose to stand against a force that has hunted civilizations older than your sun." Elias met the shifting light where its eyes might be. "Humans don't run very well." For the first time, the alien's inner glow changed in a way that felt like surprise. Outside, the crystal structures brightened, energy flowing faster between them. "Then we will help you send the signal," the aerolith said. Elias exhaled, not realizing he had been holding his breath. "But understand, human Elias Ward," it added, "this choice may change the fate of both our species." Elias looked out at the glowing city among the stars. "Good," he said softly. "It's about time we met the neighbors." Far beyond the aerolith structures, hidden between folds of space, something vast shifted in the dark. And for the first time in ages, it turned toward the light. The signal left the aerolith structures like a new star being born. Energy flowed through their living crystal networks, bending space, amplifying Elias Ward's warning far beyond what human technology could ever manage alone. The message was no longer a weak cry from a dying ship. It became a beacon that shook the dark. Across light years, human listening posts picked it up, then colonies, then fleet relays. The voice of a long-lost commander echoed across human space, carried on alien power. "This is Commander Elias Ward of the HSS Pathfinder, confirmed extra-dimensional energy predator moving toward populated sectors. Repeat, this is an extinction-level threat. Prepare defensive response. Do not underestimate it." On Earth in orbit and across distant colonies, alarms began to ring. Humanity did not run. They prepared to fight. Inside the glowing aerolith habitat, Elias stood beside the being who had first spoken to him. He still did not know how to pronounce its true name, so in his mind he called it Lyra, after the soft sound its voice made when it spoke. "Your people have received the warning," Lyra said. "Their communications traffic has increased by 400%. Elias smiled tiredly. "Yeah, that means they're arguing and panicking at the same time, totally normal." "You intend to confront the Devourer." "We intend to try," he corrected. "You cannot destroy it with your weapons." "Probably not." "Then why attempt resistance?" Elias looked out at the distant stars, imagining the billions of lives spread across them. "Because doing nothing guarantees we lose." Lyra was silent for a long moment. "Our history teaches survival through absence," it said. "Hide, dim our energy, let the storm pass." "Humans are more like the idiots who try to build a wall in front of the storm," Elias said. "Doesn't always work, but sometimes it slows things down long enough for others to get to safety." Lyra's inner light pulsed in a slow rhythm. "Your species chooses sacrifice easily." "Not easily," Elias said quietly, "just often." 3 weeks later, the first human ships arrived. They dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the aerolith system in flashes of blue distortion. Dozens of vessels, warships, carriers, science cruisers, arranged in defensive formation. Compared to the elegant glowing structures of the aerolith, the human fleet looked heavy and brutal. Metal hulls, visible weapon arrays, engines burning bright and loud. Elias watched from within a transparent observation platform as a holographic transmission flickered to life beside him. Admiral Rana Akoy appeared, her face lined with stress and determination. "Commander Ward," she said, "you always did know how to find trouble." "Good to see you too, Admiral." Her eyes shifted past him to the towering form of Lyra. "So the aliens are real." "Very real and very worried." "Us too," she muttered. Lyra's voice joined the channel, translated through human systems now linked to aerolith energy nodes. "We are grateful for your arrival," Lyra said, "though we fear it may be your end." HFY gave a tight smile. "Story of our species." Then space screamed. Every sensor in the system lit up at once. Stars near the system's edge dimmed as if something enormous passed in front of them, but nothing was visible. Gravitational readings twisted into impossible shapes. Light bent inward. "It has arrived," Lyra said. A region of space collapsed into darkness, deeper than shadow. From within it, a shape emerged that hurt the eyes to follow. Not solid, not energy, something in between. It was larger than a moon. And it was hungry. Human ships opened fire first. Lances of plasma and kinetic rounds tore across space, striking the edge of the distortion. The weapons did not explode on impact. They vanished, absorbed like sparks falling into an ocean. The devourer shifted. A wave of invisible force rolled outward. One human frigate crumpled in on itself, metal folding like paper, before bursting apart in silent light. Elias clenched his fists. "We need to slow it down, not kill it, just slow it." Lyra pulsed brighter. "We can manipulate stellar output, redirect energy flows." "Do it," Elias said. "Feed it something it doesn't expect." The aerolith structures flared like a ring of newborn stars. Beams of concentrated stellar energy lanced into the devourer, not as weapons, but as bait, overwhelming bursts of power. The creature reacted. It turned toward the brighter source, its massive form rippling. "It's working," HFY said over comms. "All ships adjust formation, draw it away from the inner system." Human ships surged forward, engines burning hot, deliberately putting themselves between the entity and the aerolith habitats. "Your vessels move toward danger," Lyra said. "That's the plan," Elias replied. The battle lasted hours. Human ships darted in, fired, retreated, drawing the devourer step by step toward the outer edge of the system. Aerolith energy beams pulsed in controlled bursts, guiding its movement like shepherds steering a predator. But every minute cost lives. One cruiser lost engines and drifted too close. It dissolved into glowing fragments as the creature passed through it. Elias watched the tactical display with a hollow ache in his chest. "They knew the risk," HFY said quietly, as if she could hear his thoughts. "That doesn't make it easier." "No," she agreed. "It just makes it necessary." "Commander," Lyra said suddenly, "we have calculated a possibility, not survival, but damage." "I'm listening." "If enough stellar energy is released at once, in a confined region of warped space, the devourer's structure may destabilize." Elias blinked. "You're talking about creating a star-level explosion." "Yes. In the middle of your own system. Our outer star is old, unstable. We can force early collapse." Elias stared at the glowing point Lyra highlighted, a red giant near the system's edge. "That will destroy your habitats out there." "Yes." He opened his mouth, then closed it. "You'd sacrifice part of your own world," he said. "You taught us that standing together sometimes requires loss." Elias swallowed hard. "Humans will help." The plan formed quickly. Aerolith structures redirected massive flows of energy into the dying star, pushing it toward sudden collapse. Human ships continued harassing the devourer, drawing it closer to the target zone. "Last chance to run," HFY said over the fleet channel. No ships turned away. Elias remained aboard a human command vessel, now docked with an aerolith energy node, acting as the bridge between species. "Lyra," he said softly, "once this starts, you won't be able to stop it." "We know." "Are you afraid?" A pause, then. "Yes, but we are not alone." The red giant began to flare. Its surface boiled, swelling outward. Radiation spikes flooded every sensor. The Devourer reacted to the surge of energy exactly as predicted. It moved toward the star, drawn to the feast. All ships retreat to minimum safe distance, HFY ordered. Engines burned at full power as human vessels fled the blast radius. Aerolith structures pulled back, their glowing forms dimming. Elias watched the timer count down, heart hammering. Now, Lyra said. The star collapsed. For a moment, it became brighter than the rest of the system combined. Then it imploded, releasing a storm of energy that tore through space itself. The Devourer was caught at the center. Its vast shape twisted, stretched, then shattered into fragments of dark energy that evaporated under the blast. The shockwave slammed into the fleeing fleets. Several human ships lost shields and tumbled, damaged but intact. Then silence. The stars stopped bending. Light flowed normally again. The Devourer was gone. Hours later, rescue ships moved among drifting debris. Survivors were pulled from damaged hulls. Aerolith structures glowed faintly, wounded but alive. On the main human flagship, Elias stood beside Admiral HFY and the shimmering form of Lyra. It is over, Lyra said. For now, HFY replied, but that thing won't be the last monster out there. Then we will face them together, Lyra said. HFY looked at Elias. You just made humanity its first alien ally, Commander. Elias gave a tired smile. Not bad for a distress call. Lyra turned toward him. Before you, we survived by hiding. Now we understand another path. Standing your ground, Elias asked. Standing together. He nodded. Yeah, that's kind of our thing. Beyond the viewport, human ships and aerolith structures worked side by side, repairing damage, sharing energy, sharing knowledge. Two species that had met in fear now faced the universe as partners. Elias watched the stars, feeling small and incredibly proud at the same time. Humanity was not the strongest, not the oldest, not the most advanced. But when the dark came, they answered. And this time, they did not stand alone. End of story.